welcome back to Fiance and Finances. My name is Steven and this is Christine. We're both pharmacists and real estate investors. So today we want to talk about how we split our finances from all the phases of our life, right? So the first phase is us dating and we weren't living together. The second phase was us living together, dating. And now the third phase is us sharing a mortgage together in a house that we bought together. So let's start with the first phase of dating. So how was our finances split when we started first dating?
So when we were first started dating, I think for most part we kept everything half-half. When we went on dates, Steven will cover the bill, or I'll cover dessert afterwards. And then the next time I'll cover the meal, and then we will do an activity and Steven will cover the other part. So it wasn't actually like exactly 50-50 down the middle. We were like Venmo each other at the end of the night. It was just kind of like a rough 50-50. We didn't keep tabs on each other or anything like that.
Yeah, we just would like, for example, if I paid for one dinner, then she would get the next dinner, right? Or if it's like a special occasion where it's like our anniversary or Valentine's Day, then I would pay for that. But like I said, it wasn't an exact number, right? Like it was just more of like, oh, last time you got me, I'll get you the next time. So there wasn't official tabs. It was just kind of like a even split. Mentally in our minds. Like I said, I don't have a Excel spreadsheet documenting,
Yeah.
oh, like you owe me $5.15,
It
right?
wasn't like split down the
Yeah.
middle. It was just fair, I'd say.
It was just like fair where like it wasn't like I was like paying for everything or Christine wasn't paying for everything. So that was kind of the first, I think, year and a half of us dating. And I think we
Yeah,
moved in together in Santa Monica
like two
I think
years in.
about 2 years, a little under 2 years in. So let's kind of share how we split our finances at that point once we started living together.
So actually, in terms of like the living situation, Steven moved to Santa Monica first, and because of a job, and then I decided that I wanted to move in, and I also applied in the Santa Monica area, and because of that, I got a job, and then I moved in maybe like 3 months into Steven moving in. So my mindset was like, oh, Steven was already gonna pay the rent anyways, so I was just gonna crash. I kind of lived like half-half, like half in Santa Monica when I was working, and on my days off, I would go home back home, and I would stay at home. So I didn't stay at Santa Monica most of the time, or all the time. So it was just like half situations. And then Steven covered the rent. And as for me, I think I'm more of like an acts of service person. So I would cook for him, or I would buy groceries, and I felt like it worked for us.
Yeah, so I think in dating, sorry, I forgot to mention, is I was renting an apartment in like Orange County at the time, and Christina was just living at home with her family. So, her living situation was free, right? She didn't have to um, pay rent, and that's how she was able to pay off her student loans, which we talked about in a different video. But she would visit maybe 2 or 3 times a week, depending on what days she had off. And then when we moved in together, obviously moving to Santa Monica, it's pretty far. It's like West LA on the complete other side. And then I moved there for a job. And then shortly after I got a job, she also got a job in that area as well. And like I said, I was already living in a studio in Santa Monica, right by the beach. And then she just kind of like felt like she was kind of crashing in there. I think you went home about maybe like once a week to do that.
Once or
But
twice,
but
yeah.
yes, I covered I covered the rent, right? Because I was staying there anyways, and Christine would like basically provide for the food, the groceries. If we went out to eat, sometimes she was more inclined to get the bill on that
Yeah.
too. And there was a segment too where I was a little bit unemployed, right? I think during that window
Yeah, I
when I
cover
was
everything else.
yeah, when I was job hopping, she would kind of cover like everything else. If we went out, if we did an activity, like an event, like we went to the Coachella, and then Christine covered that. So I think overall too, it felt pretty fair. Because to be fair, I had to have a place to live anyways myself. At least I was brainwashed to believe that.
You did.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you would have been homeless.
yeah, I would have been homeless on Santa Monica, right? Joining the other homeless people in a tent. But to me, it was nice to, in my mind at least, like have company. Like obviously, being in Santa Monica was kind of far from Christine's hometown too, and I remember feeling kind of like blue, like when I first moved to Santa Monica,
It was
because
also winter
yeah, it was
time, not much
wintertime.
sun out
It
there.
got dark by 4. It was like super gloomy, super cloudy, and it just felt a little bit off. And then, but then once like Christine moved in, it definitely things started to flip around for me, right? But going through the pains of living together for the first time, we can do a whole new video on that about our experience living together. It wasn't easy between new jobs and a new living situation for Christine because she's just been living at home like most of her life or living at college, right? In kind of dorm life.
Yeah.
So yeah, now let's kind of go on to maybe like current day.
Yeah, fast forward now, we lived together for about 2.5 years in Santa
Mm-hmm.
Monica, and now we own a house together. So in terms of the down payment, it was split 50-50, 50-50. And in terms of our expenses right now, it's also 50-50. So when we first started owning a house, we also started up our joint account. And then where it felt like adulting, we finally got our shared savings and checking account and shares a credit card. So based on that, we would just charge everything, all the utilities, the mortgage payments to that account. And in addition, we will also send our incomes or our paychecks to that account. We allotted a same amount of money into that account every month.
Yeah, so to kind of add on to that, when we bought this house, we put I think 5% down on the property, which is insane, right? And I think what helped us qualify for 5% down, to be honest, so me and Christine are both on the loan, right? And the funny thing was Christine's tax situation is so much easier compared to mine, right? Like Christine has a W-2 job and not much debt, versus me over here, I own a bunch of real estate, some businesses that lost money, so my tax return was a lot more complicated. So like I felt like I was, despite making like a good income, like my situation felt a little bit unstable for the
Yeah.
lender.
Because like you had me on a loan,
Yeah,
we were able to make it through the 5%
yeah.
down
Like I
payment.
remember the loan officer was just like, "Oh my God, you're like one of the most complicated cases I've had." But I think because Christine was she had like the perfect kind
Credit
of,
score,
yeah, good
didn't have
credit
any
score.
debt.
She had the perfect situation, and then mine was like the complete opposite, like kind of bounced out in the middle, and we ended up qualifying after some back and forth. And like I just bought a bunch of real estate. To be honest, I just got a new paying job that paid me significantly more than my last job. So
Mhm.
like there's so much in flux for me, and it just kind of looked kind of sketchy to the loan officer, to be honest. And it just took a lot of like conversations and convincing, but because Christine was on the loan too, I think it kind of helped us qualify for that 5% down, even qualify for the house, to be honest. Like I don't think
Yeah.
I would have qualified myself unless I did like a significant down payment. And I couldn't afford that at this point because, I'm asset rich, cash poor, right? Like a lot of my money is trapped in my real estate. I would have to sell.
Yeah, and we know that interest rates are going to go down eventually down the road, maybe a couple years from now. So we know that refinancing is down the road. And so we were able to afford the high payments right now with the 6.5% interest. So we're just looking forward for the refinancing down the road.
Yeah, and to kind of like go back to the finances, so yeah, we do split this 50-50. We opened up so we have our own individual accounts, right? So our paychecks go into our respective accounts, and we do have a joint account through Ally Bank. Not a sponsor yet, but yeah, through Ally Bank, we just open up a joint account, and what we do is we actually once a month we automate certain amount that goes from our account into this Ally Bank account, right? And from there, that's where it pays our mortgage, right? And our mortgage is high here, right? Because we put 5% down, 6.5% interest rate. It's like almost, I think, total cost like $700 a month, right? Give or take.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, right? And we have utilities, right? Water bill, electricity, gas, internet, all that funnels through that joint account. And maybe eventually, once we have kids, we might start funding stuff for the kids in that account too, right? And obviously, right now we are both working full time, so we contribute equally. It's been some controversy saying that, well, I do make more than Christine, right? So why are we splitting, right? Theoretically, I make more than her, so why why are we splitting, right? Controversial, I know, but I think it kind of balances out because I was kind of covering the
The
rent
rent, yeah.
early, and then she was able to save a lot of money.
Yeah, my mindset was
Yeah,
like, oh, because I'm not paying for rent, I'm paying for the groceries or the date nights. It wasn't as much as the rent, but my mindset is like, oh, I'm saving for a down payment in the road or any other expenses down the road that we may have. For example, kids, investments, retirement down the road. So I was able to save up quite a bit, and because of Steven, because of my living situation, and we're able to do half half right now. It works for us.
yeah, and to piggyback onto that as well is it was nice to be able, like, if they wanted us to do a larger down payment, Christine would actually been the one to make up that difference, right? So like I could only put like I think 5% was like my 5 or 10% really if I could have pushed it.
Yeah, I was ready to do
Um,
like a 10% or
yeah,
even like higher than that. But
yeah.
we just thought, oh, might as well just save the money and then maybe invest it down the road, or maybe like we never know what's going on in the future. We can save it for another rainy day.
Yeah, and we leveraged right with this property. So, and knowing that interest rates will hopefully drop down, it is dropping down. We had locked in at 6.5%, but it's just really being it together, being aligned. And I did get a little bit of, I guess, commission from the realtor, which I actually got that money, but I used it to basically take care of the whole house, right? So like all the all the blinds, the fixtures, I kind of covered all
Yeah,
that.
the
Yeah, all the
furniture.
furniture. We did reuse a lot of the furniture for my apartment, right? A lot of the decorations you see, like this tree is from my last apartment. But yeah, it actually like worked out. And like I said, had we had to put down more to qualify, it would have been Christine putting in that difference. Because ideally, I didn't want to like sell some stocks to ruin that compounding for that. So to kind of summarize, here, as you can kind of see, it's mostly been kind of pretty split, I would say, in all phases when we were dating and living apart. It was pretty much 50-50. Like we didn't really track it when we were living together. I was covering the rent, but then Christine would cover basically the groceries and anything that we did for fun, as well as save up for like money for our future down payment. And then now that we have a house together, it's
50-50
probably
again.
the most 50-50. It is, even though I do make more, but because I was covering rent for like the past like I think like 2.5 years, it kind of balances out. And then obviously, once we're married and she goes part-time, then it's probably gonna be mostly me covering the mortgage, and I might have to make some moves, which we'll talk about in another video if I want to pay off this house. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. Let us know if you have any questions. If you're interested in the multifamily mentorship program, check out the link down below. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe, and hope to see you next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. Bye bye.